The old auction barn buzzed with noise and chatter as farmers, ranchers, and traders gathered for the monthly livestock sale. Men in dusty boots and wide hats shouted bids for cattle, horses, and farm tools, while women sipped coffee and exchanged gossip. The wooden floor creaked under hurried footsteps, and the smell of hay and dirt filled the air. Amid the excitement, most people paid little attention to a small figure standing quietly in the back corner, near a row of metal cages. Lily was just 9 years old, her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, as she clutched a crumpled $10 bill in one hand. She had sneaked away from the library with her older brother, who was supposed to be keeping her out of trouble, but Lily had her own plan. While the adults eyed prize cows and shiny tractors, she had her eyes locked on a scrawny dog huddled in the farthest cage. The dog's fur was matted, and a single brown patch marked its dull gray back. Its eyes were tired and sad, fixed on the ground as if the world had already forgotten it. No one had bid on the dog all day. It was the kind of animal people passed by without a second glance, unwanted, overlooked, and forgotten. The auctioneer's booming voice was ready to move on, dismissing the poor dog as unsold, but Lily's small hand rose shakily into the air. The room fell quiet for a moment, then a few chuckles rippled through the crowd. "Is that girl lost?" A rough voice called from the front. A man with a worn baseball cap stepped closer, eyeing her suspiciously. "What's a kid doing here?" Lily straightened her back, staring back without flinching. "I want to buy the dog," she said softly, but clearly. The auctioneer glanced down at the $10 bill in her hand, and then back at the dog. Murmurs spread through the room. $10 was far less than anyone would have expected for an animal, but no one else had wanted him. "Well, then," the auctioneer said, his voice half joking, "looks like this mutt's got himself a new owner." Lily's heart pounded as she handed over the money, and the auctioneer unlocked the cage door. The dog didn't move at first. It just looked up briefly, then slunk out slowly, tail low between its legs. Lily knelt and held out her hand. "It's okay, Patch," she whispered. "I'll take care of you." The dog sniffed her fingers cautiously, then pressed its cold nose against her palm. A faint wag of the tail followed, almost imperceptible, but it was their dot. As the crowd began to disperse, people glanced back, surprised by the little girl who had chosen the dog everyone else ignored. Some shook their heads, thinking she was too young to understand what she was taking on. Others smiled quietly, touched by her bravery. Lily's older brother approached, grinning. "You really did it," he said. "You bought the dog no one wanted." "He's not unwanted," Lily said firmly. "He just needs someone." The ride home was a blur of mixed emotions. Lily clutched the dog's leash tightly as Patch sat quietly on the car floor, his eyes watching everything with a wary gaze. Her parents were surprised when she walked through the door, holding a shaky bundle in her arms. "Where did you get him?" her mother asked, concern and disbelief mixing in her voice. "From the auction," Lily replied, smiling shyly. "He didn't have anyone else." Her father was quiet, but his eyes softened as he looked at Patch. "Well, we'll see if he likes it here," he said. That night, Lily stayed up late whispering stories to Patch, who finally curled beside her bed. For the first time in a long while, the dog seemed to relax Dot, and so began the journey of a girl and a dog, two souls who had been overlooked, but found each other at the perfect moment. The morning sun streamed through the kitchen window as Lily sat at the table, nervously watching Patch sleep in his new crate in the corner. The dog still looked thin and fragile, and his eyes held a quiet sadness that seemed too heavy for such a small animal. Lily wanted to believe she had done the right thing, but a part of her worried. What if she couldn't help him? What if Patch was too broken? Her parents exchanged glances over breakfast. Her mother's voice was gentle but firm. "Lily, taking care of a dog is a big responsibility. Are you ready for this?" Lily nodded without hesitation. "I've been ready. For a long time. Patch just needs love." Her father's expression soft. "Well, we'll help you. But we all have to work together." The day was full of small challenges. Patch wouldn't eat the food Lily offered, no matter how patiently she sat beside him. He wouldn't follow her outside, even when she called his name with a smile. His body trembled when the wind blew through the open windows, and he flinched if anyone moved too quickly. It was clear he carried invisible scars. Lily refused to give up. She spent hours on the floor with Patch, whispering stories about the adventures they would have and the new friends they'd meet. She read aloud from her favorite books, hoping her calm voice would help Patch feel safe. Slowly, Patch began to respond not with excitement, but with quiet trust. After 3 days, a small breakthrough surprised everyone. Patch, who hadn't barked since the auction, let out a soft, uncertain bark when Lily returned home from school. She froze, heart pounding. He was awake, alert, and reaching out. Her mother gasped. "He barked. He did." Lily whispered, tears in her eyes. She knelt down and gently petted Patch's head. "Good boy, Patch. You're safe now." That evening, Patch ate a few bites of the kibble from Lily's palm. The family shared a hopeful smile. This wasn't just a dog. They were witnessing a small miracle, but Patch's past was a mystery no one could solve. The dog never responded to the usual commands, but at times his eyes seemed to follow invisible signals, as if remembering lessons long forgotten. Lily noticed the way he seemed to understand more than he let on, tilting his head at certain sounds, or positioning himself protectively when strangers approached. One afternoon, Lily's father took Patch to the vet for a full checkup. The vet, a kind woman named Dr. Carter, examined the dog carefully and nodded thoughtfully. "He's healthy, but clearly been through a lot," she said. "He might have had some training before he ended up at the auction." Lily's curiosity grew. Who had Patch belonged to before? Why was he abandoned? And most of all, could he ever truly trust again? The answers, Lily suspected, were out there somewhere hidden in Patch's past and waiting to come to light. But, for now, all that mattered was the quiet bond forming between the girl and her dog. A bond strong enough to heal even the deepest wounds. As the days passed, neighbors began to notice Patch too. The once ignored dog now trotted beside Lily with a cautious but proud gait. Kids on the street waved and asked questions. Some adults smiled, admiring Lily's determination, but not everyone was convinced. A few whispered that Patch was too unpredictable, too wild. Lily heard their doubts, but held firm. "He's not just a dog," she told her brother one evening. "He's a friend, and friends don't give up on each other." And so, with every passing day, Patch's world grew. A little brighter, all because a 9-year-old girl had seen beyond the surface and chosen hope. The afternoon sun cast long shadows over the backyard as Lily sat on the wooden porch steps, her schoolbooks forgotten at her side. Patch lay nearby, his head resting on his paws, watching the flutter of leaves in the breeze. For days, he had been quiet, too quiet, and Lily's worry grew heavier with each passing hour. She wondered if he would ever truly come out of his shell. Then, just as she began to whisper a story about a brave dog who saved his family, something unexpected happened. Patch lifted his head slowly, ears twitching at her voice. His eyes locked on Lily's, searching, hesitant, as if he were trying to decide if this was safe. And then, in a quiet, shaky sound that barely reached her ears, Patch barked. One small bark. Lily's breath caught in her throat. She froze, unsure. If she'd imagined it. Then the bark came again, soft, unsure, but real. A tiny spark of life ignited in the dog's eyes. "Patch?" Lily whispered, reaching out a trembling hand. The dog took a cautious step forward, tail flicking once, twice. The bond that had been slowly forming suddenly seemed to snap into place. Her mother, who had been inside preparing dinner, appeared in the doorway, eyes wide. "Did he just bark?" Lily nodded, tears shining in her eyes. "He did, I think. I think he's starting to trust." That night, Patch took a big step forward. For the first time since arriving, he ate from Lily's hand, carefully and without fear. The family watched in quiet amazement. This was no ordinary dog. This was a survivor, learning how to live again. But alongside this breakthrough, a mystery lingered. Patch didn't respond to typical dog commands: sit, stay, come. Though sometimes his head would tilt as if he understood something deeper. One evening, as Lily called his name, Patch suddenly turned toward a distant sound in the woods behind their house. His body tensed, ears sharp. Curious, Lily followed Patch to the edge of the trees. The dog's eyes shone bright in the fading light, alert and watchful. It was as if he remembered something from a time before the auction, something important. Lily's father, seeing this, shared what little he knew. Sometimes, dogs with training carry memories with them, even when they're scared. They wait for someone to help them remember who they really are. Lily hoped she could be that someone. Days passed, and Patch's courage grew with each small victory. He began to explore the yard, sniffing at flowers and chasing butterflies. Neighbors smiled when they saw him walking proudly beside Lily, tail wagging a little more each day. Yet, the scars beneath Patch's calm surface ran deep. Some nights, he would wake, whimpering softly, eyes wide and searching the dark. Lily would hold him close, whispering comfort until he relaxed again. Through it all, their bond grew unbreakable. But the story wasn't over. Beneath Patch's quiet bravery, a secret waited to be uncovered, one that would reveal more about his past than anyone expected, and change their lives forever. The sky darkened quickly that evening, clouds rolling in heavy and gray as a summer storm approached. Lily and her family were gathered inside the cozy warmth of their home, listening to the distant rumble of thunder. Patch lay curled up by the fireplace, his ears twitching at every sound outside. The wind picked up, rattling windows and sending leaves swirling across the yard. Lily's little brother Ben was restless. At just 6 years old, he loved to explore the woods behind their house, imagining great adventures among the trees. Despite their parents' warnings, Ben had slipped out when no one was looking, chasing a small paper boat he had set afloat in a puddle near the garden. When Ben didn't return after dinner, the house grew quiet with worry. Lily's mother called his name softly, then louder. Her father grabbed a flashlight, and together with Lily and her brother, they rushed outside into the growing storm. The woods were dark and tangled, shadows twisting under the wind's push. Rain began to fall in heavy drops, soaking their clothes and blurring their vision. The family's voices echoed as they called for Ben, their fear rising with each unanswered cry. Suddenly, a sharp, desperate scream pierced the night. "Ben!" Lily yelled, heart pounding. Patch bolted forward, his body tense, eyes wide with urgency. Lily followed, slipping through the trees as the rain soaked her to the bone. Patch's bark cut through the darkness, sharp and commanding. He darted left, then right, never losing his way. Lily struggled to keep up, fear and hope battling inside her. Then, through the rain and the thick underbrush, she saw him, Ben, sitting by a swollen creek, water rising fast around him. His small face was pale, eyes wide with fright, tears mixing with rain. Without hesitation, Patch positioned himself between Ben and the rushing water, growling low but steady. His protective stance seemed to say, "I've got you." Lily rushed to Ben's side, grabbing his hand. "It's okay, Ben. We're here." The family worked quickly, moving Ben to higher ground as Patch continued to stand guard. With the storm raging around them, the dog's courage shone brighter than the lightning slicing the sky. Back at the house, drying off and safe, Lily's parents looked at Patch with new respect. The dog who had once been so scared had now become their protector. His loyalty and bravery had saved Ben from a dangerous situation that could have ended in tragedy. Yet, as the storm passed and calm returned, Lily noticed something strange. Patch seemed restless, his eyes scanning the room, ears perked toward unseen sounds. It was as if the storm had awakened something inside him, a memory, a warning. In the days that followed, Patch grew even more alert. He responded to calls with a new energy, leading Lily to places in the woods she hadn't dared explore before. There, hidden beneath the thick branches and fallen leaves, were clues, old footprints, torn fabric, signs of someone who once walked these trails long ago. Lily wondered about Patch's past more than ever. Who had he protected before? What had he seen in those woods? The questions hung heavy in the air. But one thing was clear. Patch was no ordinary dog. He was a guardian with a story waiting to be told, and Lily was determined to discover it. After the storm and the frightening night in the woods, Lily's parents agreed it was time for Patch to have a proper checkup. Though he was brave and protective, they wanted to be sure there weren't any hidden injuries or health problems. So one bright morning, Lily and her mother loaded Patch into the car and drove to the local animal shelter, where a friendly vet and staff were waiting. The shelter was a place Lily had visited before, but today felt different. Patch seemed nervous as they entered the clinic area. He sniffed the air, his body stiffening as he looked around. The sounds of barking dogs and the scent of unfamiliar animals made him uneasy, and Lily squeezed his leash gently, whispering, "It's okay, Patch, you're safe." Dr. Carter, the vet, greeted them warmly. She had seen many animals come through the shelter, but Patch was special. After a careful examination, she said, "He looks healthy, but I'd like to scan him for a microchip, just to see if he has an owner registered somewhere." Lily nodded, curious. The tech ran the scanner over Patch's shoulder, and the machine beeped suddenly. "Doctor." Carter's eyes widened as she checked the information. "This dog's microchip shows he was adopted from here before," she said softly. "But according to the records, he was returned years ago because he was too withdrawn and did not bond with his owners." Lily's heart sank. She had thought Patch was a dog nobody wanted, but the shelter's records told a different story. Patch had once had a family one that had given up on him. Dr. Carter looked puzzled. It's rare to see such a change in a dog's behavior after being returned. It's like he's learned how to trust again. Patch sat quietly beside Lily, his eyes watching everyone, alert but calm. Then, unexpectedly, he reacted to a sound coming from a nearby room. A soft whistle echoed through the shelter, and Patch's ears perked sharply. He stood up, tail stiff, and moved toward the door, as if recognizing the signal. Lily followed, heart racing. Shelter workers looked on in surprise. No dog had ever reacted like this before. One of the workers, an older woman named Mrs. Davis, whispered, "That whistle, I haven't heard it in years. Sounds like the call of a trainer." Lily was confused. What trainer? What past did Patch have that no one had told her? Dr. Carter suggested they investigate further. The shelter searched their old files and discovered that Patch had been part of a specialized training program years ago, designed to help rescue dogs become therapy animals. He had shown great promise, but had been returned after his owners said he was too distant. Lily's mind swirled. How could a dog who had been too distant now act so bravely? So protectively? Why had the first owners given up on him? The answers weren't clear yet, but one thing was certain. Patch's past was full of untold stories. The dog who had once been unwanted now seemed to hold secrets that could change how everyone saw him. Lily reached down and rubbed Patch's ears, feeling the warmth of his fur beneath her fingers. "We'll figure it out," she whispered. "Together." Outside, the shelter's phone rang. "Doctor." Carter answered and paused, listening closely. Then she looked at Lily with a mix of surprise and hope. "There's someone who wants to meet." "Patch, someone from the training program." Lily's heart jumped. The past was coming back to Patch, and she had a feeling it was just the beginning. A few days after the call from the shelter, a knock came at Lily's front door. She opened it to find an older man standing there, his weathered face kind and his eyes bright with recognition. He introduced himself as Mr. Harrow, a former soldier who had worked with rescue dogs in therapy programs for veterans. Mr. Harrow held a worn leather leash in his hand as he smiled warmly. "I saw Patch's picture in the local news," he said, "and I think I might know him." Lily's heart raced. Could this man really know Patch's past? Mr. Harrow explained that years ago, he had trained a dog with a single brown patch on his back, a dog who was shy and withdrawn, but had a special gift for sensing people's emotions. "He was my best trainee," Mr. Harrow said quietly, eyes glistening. "Then somehow, he ended up in a shelter and was given up." Patch wagged his tail slowly but cautiously as Mr. Harrow knelt down and spoke softly to him. The dog responded by nuzzling the man's hand, a sign of recognition that took everyone by surprise. "Patch remembers," Mr. Harrow said. "He's been waiting for someone to find him again." Lily looked at her parents, her voice barely above a whisper. "What does this mean?" Mr. Harrow explained that Patch had been trained to be a therapy dog for veterans struggling with trauma. He had helped many people find hope and calm. But after being returned to the shelter, he had lost his way. "I'd like to take Patch back," Mr. Harrow said gently, "to help him get back to that work. I think he could make a real difference." Lily felt a tight knot form in her chest. She had grown to love Patch, and the idea of losing him was almost too much to bear. But she also saw the light in Patch's eyes when he was near Mr. Harrow. Light she hadn't seen before. "Can we share him?" Lily asked quietly. "Can Patch come back here every night?" Mr. Harrow smiled. "That's something we can work out. Patch belongs to both worlds now." The town was soon abuzz with the news of Patch's return to training. People admired Lily's kindness and Mr. Harrow's dedication to helping the dog rediscover his purpose. Patch became a symbol of hope, not just for the veterans he would help, but for everyone who believed in second chances. As Patch began his new role, he blossomed. His once quiet bark grew stronger, his tail wagged with pride, and his eyes shone with confidence. Yet every evening, without fail, he returned home to Lily, the little girl who had saved him when no one else would. The bond between them deepened in ways that no one could explain. It was as if Patch knew that both love and purpose were necessary. To heal his heart. One afternoon, Lily and Mr. Harrow sat together on the porch, watching Patch play in the yard. "You gave him a chance when others didn't," Mr. Harrow said. "You saved him," Lily smiled. "He saved me too." And with that, their story became more than just about a dog and a girl. It was about hope, courage, and the power of connection. But even as Patch thrived, the past still held secrets waiting to be uncovered. And Lily knew their journey was far from over. The days grew warmer as summer settled in, and Patch's visits to the Veterans Center became a beloved routine. Every morning, Mr. Harrow would arrive to pick him up, and every evening, Patch would return to Lily's side. The dog had found a purpose beyond anything anyone expected. But that purpose came with a difficult choice for the little girl who loved him. One afternoon, Mr. Harrow came to Lily's house with news. "The Veterans Center wants Patch to become their official therapy dog," he said gently. "He's made a huge difference already." Lily's heart sank. She had known this day might come, but hearing the words out loud made it real. Patch belonged in the center's care full-time now, helping those who needed him most. Her parents noticed the change in her and gave her space to think. "We're proud of you, Lily," her mother said softly. "You've given Patch a new life." But Lily couldn't stop thinking about what Patch meant to her. He was more than a therapy dog. He was her friend, her protector, the one who had saved her brother and helped her find hope when everything felt dark. One evening, sitting beside Patch on the porch, Lily whispered, "I don't want to lose you." Mr. Harrow visited the next day, and Lily handed him a folded piece of paper. "I wrote something," she said shyly. He opened it carefully. It read, "Patch belongs with people who see him. You saw him before anyone else." "I did too. Maybe we can share him?" Mr. Harrow looked up, eyes shining. "That's a brave and kind offer, Lily." Instead of taking Patch away, he worked with Lily's family and the Veterans Center to create a new plan. Patch would split his time helping veterans during the day and returning home each night. It was an arrangement no one had ever tried before, but everyone believed in Patch's unique spirit. News of the partnership spread quickly. The town was touched by the story of a little girl and a once-forgotten dog who had changed so many lives. People came to watch Patch at the center, asking questions, sharing stories, and sometimes volunteering to help. At school, Lily began speaking about her journey with Patch. She told her classmates about kindness, patience, and believing in those who might seem broken. Teachers were impressed, and soon the story reached local newspapers and even a radio station. Lily's bravery in standing up for Patch inspired others to rescue animals who had been overlooked. The shelter saw more adoptions, and the community grew kinder. But the most important thing was the bond between Lily and Patch. Each night, as he curled beside her bed, she knew their story wasn't just about saving a dog. It was about love, trust, and never giving up. And in Patch's eyes, she saw a promise. No matter what the future held, they would face it together. Months passed, and Patch's story became more than a local news headline. It became a symbol of hope that reached far beyond the small town. A dog who had once been unwanted and forgotten was now unforgettable, touching the hearts of everyone he met. Every morning, Patch left Lily's home, eager to help veterans at the center. He greeted each visitor with a gentle nuzzle and calm eyes, sensing when someone needed comfort most. Some came in heavy with pain and sorrow, but when Patch was near, the weight seemed to lift, even if just for a moment. In the afternoons and evenings, Patch returned home, where Lily waited with open arms and a smile. Their bond was stronger than ever, forged through hardship and healing. Lily had grown too, not just in years, but in courage and compassion. The town embraced Patch and Lily as heroes. Schools invited Lily to speak about rescue animals and kindness. Local newspapers published stories about the unlikely duo, and a journalist approached Lily's family with an idea for a book. One chilly autumn day, Patch and the Girl Who Waited was published. The cover showed a photo of Lily and Patch, side by side, both smiling. The book told their journey from the auction barn to the Veterans Center, from loneliness to love. Lily held the book close, proud but humble. "He saved me as much as I saved him," she told a crowd at a local library reading. Her voice was steady, her eyes shining with the promise of hope. Patch, now healthy and strong, lay quietly at her feet, content. He had found his forever home, a place where he belonged and where he was loved beyond measure. But the greatest gift was the lesson they shared with the world. Sometimes, the ones who seem unwanted are the ones with the biggest hearts. Sometimes, all it takes is one person to believe in them, and that belief can change everything. As the sun set behind the hills, Lily and Patch walked hand in paw through the town that had once passed them by. Now, they were a reminder that love could heal the deepest wounds, that courage could come in small packages, and that every life, no matter how broken, could become a story worth telling. And in every heart that heard their story, a spark of kindness was born.